Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Elevating Your Life. And oh my gosh, we're going to elevate today. I am so happy to share today's guest. We have with us N.T. HETTIGEI. HETTIGEI. He is a spiritual teacher, writer, and self-publisher who has been sharing his experience of true happiness with others for the last 3 decades. He is the author of Beyond Our Self-Image, which is his 3rd book. He is the founder of ancientpath.org. And I hope I say this correctly, Kalyanamithra-Group. I'll let you share what that is to us. His life journey started in a rural village in Sri Lanka, and he migrated to New Zealand in his early 30s and lived there for 10 years. He then moved to the USA and lived in Minneapolis, Minnesota for 15 years, exploring the novelty of clear-cut seasonal weather changes and all of that, which is so amazing. Then he moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and has been living there since then, continuing his self-exploration and sharing true happiness with others. He has successfully navigated through personal and professional challenges in many parts of the world. I am so happy to have you join us today, NT. Welcome.
Thank you for that. Thanks for having me in this show. And I appreciate your help with this book and then my message to send out throughout the world.
Oh, thank you.
Very happy.
Oh, and you just, so many great messages in your book. I enjoyed it so
Yes.
much. Well, would you like to share a little more of your background and kind of what took you to the step of becoming a book author and what you
Yeah.
message you wanted to give with that?
Certainly. Thank you. Well, I think I had some kind of an inclination that I'm going to be a writer or even a spiritual teacher at the later stage, maybe. Because when I was a kid, I was mostly intrigued with, the people's differences. And then even you would have gone in that phase of life where you find that really why this other person is different than me. And especially even the very little age, why that person is called a girl rather than a boy. That's what my inclination was actually, which I do have even right now, even after growing up so many years. But still, I have that kind of uh, inclination that we should treat each other equally, not see with your any race or the color or the any other thing, including even your gender. Because to me, I see the inner connection between everybody. And when I see somebody, I always see the very inner essence of that person. So actually, it brings me a little smile to my face all the time. And I've been in trouble for that too. But because some people were thinking, why are you doing this? But anyway, so going back to that, my story. So I was in Sri Lanka and then I qualified as a chartered accountant. But during that time, Sri Lanka is, I think, about 80% of the Sri Lankans are Buddhist. The Theravada is Buddhist culture. And we used to go to Sunday school like here, but not for Catholic school, but it's Buddhist schools. And we do have kind of uh, full moon day retreat, 1 day retreat. So one day when I was about 14 years old, I think, and I participated one of those retreat, and then it came to me I should meditate. So I started meditating, and when I wake up, I thought that really woke up after the meditation. Everybody was looking at me, just like they're just curious whether I'm going to wake up or I'm going to stay like that for a while. So I didn't realize that because I have been sitting there for about 2 hours. To me, it was about 15 minutes in my mind. So then with that, I think I started my spiritual journey mostly. And so in my early 30s, I migrated to New Zealand. And so New Zealand, of course, I engaged with some different Buddhist cultures, like, the Ajahn Chah's Buddhist traditions and all that. So there I had a chance to meditate long retreat, like, weekends and whole week kind of things. So there I really experienced a very phenomenal experience, which I call it as non-self in Buddhist terms, I suppose, but it is more true self, your true self, which has been there with me all the time, which has been there with all the time. And I realized this is the happiness that everybody was looking for, but they are mistaken for the happiness of, what is being conceptualized with your mind. And I do see that really most of the people are a victim of their mind, rather than, using that mind as a tool that you can use to, spread the good thing in the world. It can be material things, it can be like, science or any other things, but it is a tool that you have, but most of the people, they don't recognize that. So that is the message I wanted to give, but I have been doing that for the last 30 years in a smaller group, and sometimes even some workshops and all that. And in the same time, I thought I want to take this message to the public, and so I started writing. I wasn't a writer, actually. So first book I wrote was, as I mentioned, from my childhood, I was thinking that really there shouldn't be any differences in this world. But with the maturity, I realized that there are two types of people in this world. One is actually a philosopher who who has more inquisitivity, that really wants to go and ask the question of why, and then try to find out the logical answer for that. But the other type of people, actually, they are sages. They don't want any explanation. They actually self-realize. They just go back to their inner essence and see whether this is right or wrong. That's enough for them. So those are the two people I identified as in this whole world. Those are the two type of people I would see. So that's why I wrote that the book, Are You a Philosopher or a Sage?
I love it.
But it was go ahead.
Yeah, and your book, Beyond Our Self-Image, you talk about, you help us with getting, beyond our self-image. But please explain to the audience exactly what that phrase means. What is our self-image, and how does that relate to our true happiness and our inner self?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I thank you, Paula, taking me into that idea. And yeah, with that, my first book, I realized that really as the same question that what Paula, you were asking. Okay, how would difference? And then I wrote that Explore Within, a journey to inner peace. But still, it didn't give the same message like what your question was. So then I realized, okay, this is how it is to, paraphrase, or then I came up with this idea of, okay, our mind and our self, we always recognize with our mind and body and think this is myself, right? But with that early experience I was explaining to you, I realized it is not yourself. It is actually your image. It's an image that you created throughout your life, accumulating all the concept and all the external feed come to you. Like, you are a boy, your name is this, and you are this, and all that accumulated, and then you actually living in a fictional character. That's how I see it. So that is why I call it as a fictional character, and then I call it as a beyond our self-image. The self-image is our fictional character in the sense that we have an image. Of course, everybody has an image. Now I have an image of I'm this person and all that. That's true. That's quite legitimate and quite good. But if we recognize that is kind of an image that we conceptualize within you, then you can go further inwardly and see your true nature. So you can elevate your true life.
Yes.
And then actually you can elevate your true life, and then you can live in there peacefully and of course the happily. That is why you would have noticed that in Buddhism, in the book, in the Beyond Our Self-Image book, I refer to that as true happiness. So I know people might ask the question, okay, happiness, but where is the true happiness comes from? So that is what I see. I see that really when you are in your true self, you see that happiness, it will not change anyway. You know, I have a chapter in the Beyond Our Self-Image book that it's called satisfaction. And everybody has that experience of satisfaction, because that won't last that long, right? we could satisfy with something, and then again it will just fade away. Even just sort of very simple example, like you might buy a new car, and the next model comes up, and then your new car is no longer new, and it won't satisfy you, right? You
Yep.
go for another car, right? It's similarly that. In the same way that really happiness, also sometimes it's really conceptualized happiness. So you are thinking that really if you have so much of money, you could be happy. But when you get that money, that amount, but it is not enough. So you want to go, oh. So that is why I call this true happiness.
I love
This
it.
happiness I'm talking about, which is explained in this Beyond Our Self-Image, which I subtitle as the true nature of the true story of a fictional character. That was that when you have that true nature, when you identified your true nature, it will stay there forever. And once you are in that your true nature, everything happening around the world are just incident.
Yes.
Just incident. And
I've always
so you
believed
will,
that, we can hold ourselves, I'll be happy when I get this. I'll be happy when I accomplish this. And that just is, that's something outside us, isn't it? That's a perception
yeah,
and not our
yeah,
true happiness. I've kind of
yeah,
always said to myself, I am not my car. I am me,
yeah.
but, as you say in your book, perceptions and that, really that can keep us from expanding or keep us from, taking a moment. I have to say something in your book that I just absolutely loved, NT, was you say, feeling like a child. You cannot be a child again, but you can enjoy a child's happiness. That is huge. Oh my gosh. I love it.
which I really do right now. I'm actually speaking to you as a child in my inner peace, of course, because it's if you don't have any barriers or any restrictions or any limitation, you are happy. So that is so if I go to a very small, very quick, drive-through solution here. If I say drive-through, you know what I meant, right? It's like, if you don't cling to anything, and then you don't have any friction then. Because if you have some kind of expectation, only that you have unhappiness. Because if you don't get that expectation, you will be unhappy. If you get it, of course, happy, but for a few minutes or few
Yeah.
days. but
Yeah.
again, it will be unhappy. So that is kind of your clinging. So if you just let go of your clinging, just like a child, because child wouldn't be, even you would have noticed that really any child, when you looked at even still a toddler, they are very blissful, right? Most of the case, unless if they are hungry,
Mhm.
unless if they have some other trouble, otherwise they are very blissful. And I can remember my daughter was born like a very blissful child, because it was kind of a prestige nature that we have, that pristine nature, still with you, everybody, with everybody. I can see that when I meet somebody, I can see that. But I can see on top of that some of the trouble they are facing, and their face will really show that really, okay, they are not really happy, and they are having a kind of a different a trauma in there. So it is a kind of a visible thing, or it is actually reflect from you. As like, even a child, they actually burst out with their happiness or bliss all the time, right? But it can happen to the older people too, if you are really go into your inner peace. So I wonder whether, Paula, you noticed that really I gave a kind of a 3-step quick deep dive into your inner self with 3 different labels. So I put 3 different labels, like, one is pure attention. If you have the pure attention, you are pretty much sane person, right? Because some people are insane. They just go everywhere. They go for money, they go for this and that. But still, if you have a kind of a pure attention to what you are, how you should live, and then you are really at a kind of a good state of mind. So that is, I call, pure attention. But beyond that, some people actually go further and then open up their heart and then be kind, and they're helpful to people and do donations, and they really go with the people, and then they see the happiness coming from the other person who they have helped, and then they are laughing, or they are getting better. They actually, if somebody was hungry, if you give them a food, and then you can see that really how happiness is there with the person who's eating that food. So that is kind of your noble heart. So you can deep dive into that noble heart, and there are so many people like that. I'm not saying it's not difficult. I mean, even definitely, Paula, you know that you experience that kind of heart, right?
Yes.
But I'm going a little beyond that. I'm going a little beyond that, and we are more deeper. When you go more deep, actually, it's not that you're helping others and all that. You are helping yourself too, and you are detaching your that self-image, that your fictional character. So once you detach from that, it's easy to live. You don't need to have money for that.
Yes.
You can actually peacefully live it and then share that happiness with others. So that is what I'm doing right now. And then I do have some meditation group up in Phoenix. So I
Oh, how
conduct it
wonderful. Yes.
every Thursdays at our temple here.
Oh, I
And
love it. And
so,
something you
yeah,
mentioned in the book, the space you recognize between thoughts is where your true happiness lies. So that is
ex-
just getting away from those thoughts and those wants or those regrets, and just, and
yes,
there we connect to
yes,
our true happiness. Ah,
yes, yes,
I love
yes,
that
actually.
answer.
I'm very glad that you recognize that part. Yeah, those are the things that really in my book, I mean, in Beyond Self-Image, that I do have an index of practices as well. You would have noticed that about 17 practices, things like what Paula you just explained. Those are very tiny things sometimes you think, but actually it's hit hard into your inner peace, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if I share another one, which is in the book as well, that if you in the morning, if you go out and then just face that freshness in the dawn and just embrace that.
Yeah.
That's again another spaciousness that we were talking about.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you mentioned Einstein in your book, Albert Einstein, where he
Yeah.
said, look deep into nature and then you will understand everything better.
Exactly.
And yeah, you know, that's so true. You know, it just, for me, every morning, my favorite song is to walk outside with my dogs and hear the birds singing. You know, that to me, that's the most beautiful music.
Yeah, yeah. And even the Einstein's case, that really when I read that part of it, I really relate that to myself. And then I can see Einstein would have seen the same thing, because with that nature, when you look deeper into the nature, it is actually, it's just like the same spaciousness that you have. And when I read through some of these Einstein's papers about, he was talking about all these theories and E equal mc square and all that. So his papers actually reflect the same experience that I was just referring to. Because I see him as a very good sage. And he was trying to explain it to the people like, scientific method. That's why I think he used the mathematics to explain it so that everybody can understand it. But I can relate to his papers when he said that uh, uh, jittery liquid kind of experience, which I have gone through. I can see that. I can relate to that. So it is the inner essence that really we don't see on the surface level. But when you meditate and when you get your attention into that deeper level, you would see it. And then you can relate to Einstein, even Nikola Tesla. He was talking about the similar things. I can see that really those people are right. They're taking that our fictional character and try to use that and then give the message to the other people.
Oh,
And I see that really. And you would have noticed that really in the book when I was on that Einstein's chapter, I mentioned that really Einstein once somebody who met on the street asked about Einstein's theories, and then Einstein said, "Oh, you are mistaken. You must be talking about Professor Einstein. I'm not him." Because he said that because he's actually, he knows that he didn't lie. He said, "You are just referring to a person, this fictional character. I'm not
yes,
that person."
yes.
That is
And I
what I'm
know
trying
your
to.
book is based on, things you've experienced in your life and that you attribute to your true self and your inner peace. Is there a particular experience that you personally went through or realized that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, certainly. That is what I was referring earlier I think it was 1996. I was in I think it's a weekend retreat at Bodhinarama Monastery in New Zealand, Lower Hutt, New Zealand. It's Stokes Valley, New Zealand, which was just close to our house at that time. And I was associated with those priests and them. But in that sitting, I was at a deep meditation, and it's a matter of like, you are experiencing your conditions, and that conditions are really changing. If I give an example, you may be related to that. If you're living in that central heating house, your air conditioner is running all the time and your fan is running all the time. You never notice it, right? But all of a sudden that fan stopped. And then you would really deep dive into the, oh, that was there. Similar experience I was experiencing at my meditation, that I was in one spaciousness, and all of a sudden that spaciousness ceases.
Ah,
And then I go into a deeper sensation or the condition, which is much deeper than. Then only I realized I was connecting, or I was clinging into that earlier sensation or condition. And now it's gone. And then again, now I am in a different condition. I thought, this is what it is. But once you stay there, that also ceases. That goes away. And then again, another deeper sensation comes through. So you think that, that is the end. But once you stay there, that also goes away. Likewise, it goes deeper and deeper, deeper. And one time it just hit you into a bottom, like, you realize there's nothing more to go. And at that point, you have no sense of birth or death.
ah,
So you are really,
wow.
in a sense, that really you are in a zone, or in fact, I shouldn't say you, but you recognize a place where there is no self.
There is no self. Oh my goodness.
That's the experience I want to share with you.
Oh,
It's
and
a very,
amazing.
So I can relate that experience when I listen to some people like, Eckhart Tolle or Rupert Spira. So they were just trying to say the same thing. But I do find a little bit of a gap in there on the readers or the audience point of view. That is the main reason in this main message in this Beyond Our Self-Image book, because I want to bridge that gap. Because the people, when Eckhart Tolle was talking about present moment, people conceptualize it. Oh, present. That means in between the past and future. No, that is a concept. It's not the present moment. Present moment is actually without any concept.
Yes.
Do you feel it?
Yeah. The present moment is the present moment. Yeah, those others are a concept.
Yeah. Even
And to realize that's huge, isn't it?
Yeah. You can experience right now. You just give your full attention to the silence, which is coming through just after I stop talking. Pay your attention to that silence nature.
Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness. Oh, NT, my gosh, our time has just flown by. This has been so fantastic. So thrilled to have you on the show. Everybody check out Beyond Our Self-Image, NT HETTIGEI. Thank you so much for joining us today. Big hugs and blessings. NT, big hugs and blessings. Thank you.
Same here, and I'm very grateful for your, giving this opportunity, and then for your support of promoting this Beyond Our Self-Image, a true story of a fictional character. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your